Well, hello and welcome to River Valley Farm. Live from quarantine, I guess you could say. So, yeah, keep myself from going stir crazy. We get to work on, I don't know what we're gonna do here. Gonna start with dissection of PTO there, see what's going on with that. I'm about half tempted to send somebody out for painting supplies, much as I really don't want to paint it yet. But anyway, I guess instead of going to putting it to use, we'll tear into things and see what we can do about it. That, for instance, and down into here also with the steering box leak. So, oh yeah, and then we got to deal with this coolant leak here too. Not real sure where that's coming from yet. But anyway, so that being said, I guess I'm going to start taking it apart. Oh, and then the carburetor's still messing up, so we're going to have to work on it. But I'm going to run out of parts, so I'm not going to be doing a whole lot, I guess. Anyway, I'll have to try and do something. Okay, so we're going to try a trick from later model tractors anyway, and run I'll run it up on my car ramps here. So the thought process is that if you put the tractor on enough of an incline, which I don't know if this is enough or not, that it will you won't lose a whole lot of oil when you take the PTO out of it. So again, I don't know that this is going to work, but it's worth a try. So yeah, I'm just going to clean this off, take 4 bolts, and we'll see what happens. Okay, so if we'd had it a little bit more on a ramp, I wouldn't have lost hardly anything. This is your shift collar, more or less, and there is your PTO unit. Okay, these pieces fell out. I don't know what they're for yet, but anyway, I'm gonna take us over to the bench and see what I can do here. That looks pretty well. Yeah, anyway, we're gonna take us to the bench and see what we can do. Looks really promising though, like we should be able to fix this without a whole lot of trouble. Okay, so here we have it in its components. Rear seal, PTO shaft with the bearing, your lock nuts to adjust the bearing tension. I don't really know why that's there, but anyway, they're there. This is what's supposed to shift it in. Okay, and then we have this little detent set up right here, spring and detent that's supposed to hold tension against this piece, or actually it's not even supposed to hold tension, it's just supposed to fall into those 2 divots right there, one of those 2 divots, to make it work, to make it lock in. So not 100% certain if this thing wasn't too far ahead, being as when I took it apart I found these down in there just laying around in the housing. Anyway, they go in this spot on the inside. So yeah, of course then you drop everything 3 or 4 times. Anyway, so flip this over. Might make life a little bit easier. Maybe, possibly, maybe, possibly. So yeah, those pieces go in there like that. And then, as I said, that's supposed to hold out against this piece It's supposed to fall into those two, one of those two divots, whichever way you shifted it. So yeah, let's see. The way I figure this is supposed to work. See if I can set this thing back up without losing a detent spring out of it. The way I figure this is supposed to work anyway is you should set with this piece in here in the right spot. You should, let's see. Yeah. Which that's odd. But anyway, I would think that you should pick up on it. You know, you should have a little lever that runs up here and you should pull up on it or push down on it to make that work. Because with where that's mounted at on the tractor, you know, if you had a deal that's, you know, a lever that moved back and forth, like say on a C or something, it wouldn't probably work very well. But the, you know, if you had a little lift lever that you pick up, like on an H or an M farm all or something, I think that's how these are supposed to work anyway. But I was thinking that it should be down against this would be off, but that's not going to work out the way I want it to work out. So anyway, yeah, I guess I need to put this back in here, clamp it up, and see what, because this would have to be, well, let's see, this would have to be retracted all the way down, because if you'll look, there's two splits of splines in here. You can see it maybe better from this way. Oh yeah, there's two sets of splines. The outer one is the one that goes on to whatever is driving it, and then the inner one is what connects this shaft to whatever's driving. Okay, so there is, oh, I didn't even look up in there that far. Let's see what's inside. I didn't even look in the transmission or in housing. Oh, okay, so yeah, that thing right there, which is just a shaft coming off the transmission, that when you push the clutch in, it stops. So anyway, no live PTO on this unit. Other than the oil, everything in here looks pretty good, so at least we got that battle won. I do intend to change the oil, but we're not going to do it today. So yeah, all that being said, I guess now I just need to figure out how I'm going to do this. So let me see if I can put this back together, or well, actually we're not even going to go back together with it all the way, because I want to be able to stick a clamp down in here to hold this out as far as I can get it out, and then we'll probably try and shim it a little bit or something on the outside, and then weld, probably weld, I would say weld, or I got, is that a bolt that screws into there? It might be. Either way, we gotta play with this piece a little bit too and see what we can come up with, because that might well be a bolt. And if it is a bolt, then we'll weld a nut to that and take that out, and then maybe we'll get somewhere. Time to think some more. Okay, so this is in fact not a bolt. Leastwise, it didn't even try and give when I tried to spin it out of there with that. So anyway, of course, not like I had a very good welder or anything either, but that's all right. We don't really care, because we're just going to go with a different plan. We're going to take a piece like this, bleedy knuckles, and lay it on here whichever way it works out to be, and weld it, and then we'll drill a hole. Well, drill a hole, we'll weld it, and then we'll drill a hole and put a piece of all thread through it. Wherever I do my piece of all thread now, it's here somewhere. Anyway, not that important as of yet, but that's the plan. Is we're going to take a piece of that, maybe just exactly that piece, drill it so we can weld it down there really good, and then, as I said, drill again where we can put that piece of, I believe it's a piece of 3/8 all thread through it, and go from there. Sounds good to me anyway. Okay, so we got our little tab welded on here. I found an all thread. I'm going to use this piece of 3/8 all thread. That'll work just fine. I'm going to bend the hook on it, heat it up, bend the hook on it, and we'll drill a hole through here somewhere. Then we'll be able to raise and lower this thing and get the PTO to engage and disengage. And then comes another problem, which I don't know how much of a problem it's really going to be, but then what's that do to the position of our you know, where's the rod end up, and what do we got to do to make that work? You know, just little things we got to figure out as we go along. So anyway, I'm gonna put the PTO back together, stuff everything back in this housing. We're gonna put the shift collar first, then the shaft back through, and then we'll get the bearing lined up. Yeah, the bearing will line up and kind of recenter everything, hopefully. That's my story, my theory, and I'm sticking to it at any rate. So I'm gonna go with that for right now. Okay, so PTO is back in. Let's see. Yeah, we can do this real quick, I guess. So you can see, pin gauge. Disengage, so we're good there. Anyway, the reason why I started the tractor was so I could see when we raise this all the way up. Because now we got to come up with a way to make a bracket to hold our rod, or the rod that I'm going to use on this thing. Yeah, anyway, that's the next conundrum, is what are we going to do to make this rod work. I was going to go with just going like to this bolt coming over top, but I don't think that's going to work now with that being there, so I got to adjust the choke a little bit. Maybe the other way. Okay. Like I said, the carburetor screwed up again too. So anyway, but now that I see how high this piece rolls up when you lift it, oh well, I think we're out of gas. Oh well. But now that I see how high that piece lifts up when you lift this up, we might, well, okay, so yeah, what we probably will have to do, I don't think I got enough rod for all that mess. Anyway, I don't want it to be interfering with this, because that's going to screw things up. And then what I do with my rod, there it is. So anyway, if I put the rod on this side, bend my hook, put it on this side, and then we come up a ways and over, and yeah, I don't know. This is going to be fun, because the old one, the other, you know, the other tractors that were set up with this non-live PTO setup, that had this PTO set up, the H's and M's and stuff like that. Well, they just had a little bracket off the seat deck, floor pan, whatever you want to call it, or it had a hook. You pulled it up to put it in gear, you push it down or whatever, however it worked, it doesn't really matter. But you know, anyway, it didn't have this to contend with. So there was probably a really fancy rod that went with this at some point in time that somebody needed for another tractor or something. But anyway, we're just left to figure out what to do next. So that's what I'm gonna do. Okay, so I got a little bit too fancy here, I think. I have to take this back off, heat this up and twist it so it comes up straight. And then I think, which I don't have, yeah, I do too. Or to be close enough to a straight edge for the purpose that we want to do. And we're still all the way up here, so we shouldn't be too much into it. We'll just over drill the hole a little bit and then run us a piece of angle iron from that bolt back to here and have it rest on this, and we'll put a 1/2 inch hole in it so that we'll be able to keep track of this thing, but not, you know, it shouldn't get in a bind that way. Leastwise, that's what I think right now. So wonder what's up under the seat there. Anyway, I'll have to look at that in a minute, I guess. Okay, so there is what we've come up with. Everything seems to work. I can shift it in, I can pull it out. It should be easier to do from in the seat, honestly, but anyway, it should be easier to do from in the seat. Let me try that, I guess, before I get too carried away. Ooh. Oh yeah, that's easy to do. I need to tighten my handy dandy knob up on here a little bit better. It's not quite the right thread, but it'll work. So yeah, there we go. Probably better off if the light wasn't behind me. Probably better off if the lens wasn't greasy. But such is life. So anyway, there we have it. So now we can engage and disengage the PTO as we see fit. That's an excellent point. Good idea, right? We need to be able to do that. Next up, since I by no means feel sick, I guess see if we can get this carburetor straightened out, or actually I guess we'll get some gas and see if it'll run. And if it'll run, then we'll get the bush hog and put it to the test. Well, something like that anyway, because we need to deal with that leak too. That's also pretty bad. It doesn't quit when it warms up. So yeah, I mean, all in all, the little old girl's coming together. And I guess I should say that I haven't tested positive, but my wife did. So anyway, we're making improvements. The little tractor's coming together and it's working. So I guess we'll leave this one here for now. Thanks for watching. I'll be back when I have more to go with. Meanwhile, stay safe out there.